Like one of the things, if you ask someone today, what are the odds that in 3 years there will be no war in the world? It's zero. Like nobody thinks, no, there's never been a time in human history where we haven't had war. If you had to say, what is our number one problem as a species? Well, I would say our number one problem is war. Our number one problem is this idea that it's okay to send massive groups of people who don't know each other to go murder massive groups of people that are somehow opposed because of the government, because of lines in the sand.
That's
territory.
Clearly an insane thing.
It's an insane thing. How do you get rid of that? Well, one of the ways you get rid of that is to completely engineer out all of the human reward systems that pertain to the acquisition of resources.
So what's left at that point?
Well, we're a new thing. I think we become a new thing.
And what does that thing do once?
I think that new thing would probably want to interact with other new things that are even more advanced than it.
I do believe that scientific curiosity can drive quite a bit. That can be a great frontier for a long time.
Yeah. I think it can be a great frontier for a long time as well. I just wonder if what we're seeing with a drop in testosterone, because of microplastics, which sort of just snuck up on us. We didn't even know that it was an issue until people started studying.
How certain is that at this point that that's what's happening?
I don't know.
I'm going to go study after this.
It's a very good question. Dr. Shanna Swan believes that it's the primary driving factor of the sort of drop in testosterone and all miscarriage issues and low birth weights. All those things seem to have seems to be a direct factor environmentally. I'm sure there's other factors too. The drop in testosterone, I mean, it's been shown that you can increase male's testosterone through resistance training and through there's certain things you can do. Like one of the big ones they found through a study in Japan is cold water immersion before exercise. Yeah. It radically increases testosterone. So you could cold water immersion and then exercise. I wonder why. That. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see if we can find that. But it's a fascinating field of study, but I think it has something to do with resilience and resistance and the fact that your body has to combat this external factor that's very extreme that causes the body to go into this state of preservation and the implementation of cold shock proteins and the reduction of inflammation, which also enhances the body's endocrine system. But then on top of that, this imperative that you have to become more resilient to survive this external factor that you've introduced into your life every single day. So there's ways, obviously, that you can make a human being more robust. You know, we know that we can do that through strength training, and that all that stuff actually does raise testosterone. Your diet can raise testosterone, and a poor diet will lower it and will hinder your endocrine system, will hinder your ability to produce growth hormone, melatonin, all these different factors. That seems to be something that we can fix in terms, or at least mitigate in terms with decisions and choices and effort. But the fact that these petrochemical like there's a graph that Dr. Shanna Swan has in her book that shows during the 1950s when they start using petrochemical products in everything, microwave, plastic, saran wrap, all this different stuff, there's a direct correlation between the implementation and the dip. And it all seems to line up, like that seems to be a primary factor.
Does that have an equivalent impact on like estrogen-related hormones?
That's a good question. Some of them actually, I know some of these chemicals that they're talking about actually increase estrogen in men. I don't know, but I do know that it increases miscarriages. So I just think it's overall disruptive to the human body.
A societal-wide disruption of the endocrine system in a short period of time. Seems like a just bad and difficult to wrap our heads around.
And then pollutants and environmental toxins on top of the pesticides and herbicides and all these other things and microplastics. There's a lot of factors that are leading our systems to not work well. But I just really wonder if this, like, are we just clinging on to this monkey body? Are we deciding?
I like my monkey body.
I do too. Listen, I love it. But I try to be very objective. And when I objectively look at it in terms of like, if you take where we are now and all of our problems and you look towards the future and like, what would be one way that you could mitigate a lot of these? And it would be the implementation of some sort of a telepathic technology where, you know, you couldn't just text someone or tweet at someone something mean because you would literally feel what they feel when you put that energy out there, and you would be repulsed.
Yeah.
And then violence would be if you were committing violence on someone and you literally felt the reaction of that violence in your own being. And you would also have no motivation for violence. If we had no aggressive tendencies, no primal chimpanzee tendencies,